Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on when you're listening. And thank you for tuning into episode 227 of the High Sensitivity Podcast. And thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news, as well as we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, joined again by two co hosts.
Craig, one of the two.
Also Craig, the other of the two.
Between two Craigs is what they call me.
Where's
done.
Zach Galifianakis when you need him?
I'm really surprised I didn't mess up that intro. I changed it after 227 episodes, and it's like, okay, I changed up that little beginning, and I didn't fumble.
Yeah.
We'll take it. What I
Nice.
never fumble is the news. The news never gets fumbled.
No.
Much like, or unlike Lamar Jackson today, he did fumble the ball. They did win the game, so it really doesn't matter. That's my 1 minute sports. Yeah, 1 minute sports analogy. First one up, because I'm going to take every opportunity to do so. Shattered Space DLC has launched for Starfield, and it sucks. It is absolutely terrible. It's stupid content. It's one planet that they added, and everyone else thinks so. It is hovering around a 50 on Metacritic, and it is not performing as well as many people wanted. The DLC came out, and they peaked at about 21,000 players. Just so you have an idea, Skyrim still has a concurrent peak for this month of 30,000. So more people are playing Skyrim than playing Starfield.
Fair. I love that they're still holding a grudge against Starfield. It makes me giggle.
I hope this continues for like years.
It may be a grudge against Bethesda forever, is what it might be.
It's still Fallout.
Yeah,
You
it's
still
still
hate
Fallout
Fallout
76.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, man. You and Bethesda had a fallout.
Oh man, that was
I
almost as
don't-
bad
yeah,
as the
I can't.
Starfield DLC.
Yeah. There we go. There you go. But you guys aren't picking this up, right? You guys aren't doing this or trying it or anything
Not a
like that.
chance.
I don't think I played more than like 2 or 3 hours of Starfield.
Now, I'll say I played like 20 to 30 hours, and I don't know how I did it. I had it on 2 different systems too, so I could play like while I was watching TV with my wife. But once I stopped playing, there was not a hair on my body that wanted to go back. I don't know why I played that long.
Yeah.
Did you just have nothing else to play at that time?
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Fair.
Next up, did you guys know Halo Infinite's multiplayer is still being worked on, still being stuff used and whatnot?
No.
No, I didn't.
It's getting a third-person mode soon. Much like Tactical Mode in Call of Duty, you'll be getting a third-person Halo Infinite multiplayer mode, so you can play maps and stuff in third person. I more or less just taking this opportunity to be like, hey, at least Halo Infinite is still being worked on and still getting updates. But are people playing Halo Infinite?
Apparently enough for them to update. Think of how many games have already launched after and aren't even being worked on or being shut down like immediately.
Concord.
Right.
Like, I know the main thing is Halo Infinite's multiplayer is separate from the main game, so it kind of feels almost like Call of Duty's Warzone at this point.
Yeah.
But, I'll give them props for updating it, but how about, like, you give the Halo fans something new to attach to at some point? Like, this was one of the launch titles for Series X, and they haven't heard anything since.
I mean, it took forever for that game to come out. Was that 2 or 3 years ago now? That Infinite came out. 3?
That's a good question.
I think it's 3. Wait,
2?
It's as long as I've had my Xbox. I feel like it came right after I got it. I got it in an October.
Okay.
I think it's 3. I think it's 3 years.
It is 3 years, 2021.
Okay. Interesting. I liked that game. The single player.
I thought the single player was good as well.
Mm-hmm.
But give them something more. You can't be just keep doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And lastly on my end is from Warner Brother Games, they have announced that they are making a new Avatar game, and you are set to play as the new Avatar. Not like the Blue People Avatar, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Probably should have mentioned that. But I feel like they're trying to capitalize on this, but the problem with doing this is that you've announced that you're working on this game. It's going to take about 4 to 5 years to come out. You probably don't still have the same hype going into your game as much as the recent love for Avatar: The Last Airbender has come with the
Mhm.
live action series, people loving the anime and stuff like that. So I don't know, too
Fair.
little, too late. Would you guys play a game like that?
I haven't even seen the show, so
I
no.
don't know. It depends on the content. If they dropped a trailer, possibly. I'm in the category as Craig where I haven't seen the show, so I know its popularity though.
Yeah, for sure.
And just to add on, Warner Brother Games, they did release the new season for Suicide Squad, and no one cares.
Yep, literally no one.
Yeah,
I
this
thought
game,
they
this game
said they
needs.
weren't going to do that anymore. Like no more season.
I I guess they still have some plan. Like they have to finish out this roadmap, maybe that they shown off. But
Right.
if there is a game that just needs to go free to play, like at this point, you just need as many people in this game as you can.
Yeah,
Right.
I think, and that's not to say doing so is going to make people play it, but maybe they'll give it a shot.
or put it on like PlayStation Plus or Game Pass.
Yeah, at
You
this
know,
Yeah,
point.
that's
like
the move.
that would help. You'd get people to at least try it out. Yeah.
There were fun aspects to that game, but
Hmm.
not enough to keep not enough to, I think, keep a majority of people into it.
Correct.
But that's all I have for news. I will. The floor
Okay.
is yours, my friends.
All right. First and foremost, there's a little story that came out that I thought was kind of interesting, and it definitely backs up our point of view. So, of course, I'm going to bring it up. 53% of players prefer single player in a recent survey. Thank you.
Crazy.
Thank you. Yep. All praise be. I think we're seeing a resurgence of single player and a decline of multiplayer right now. So that's good news, right?
Look, like I think what would be interesting is if we went through like the last 7 years and like popularity of game, also execution of single player versus multiplayer games. And while we have multiplayer games that have flourished, I don't know, there's some multiplayer flops that we could just throw on the wagon that would just totally not even be close to what would be considered a single player flop. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
just me.
I think your cat needs attention.
I think she does too. She is yelling.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like, I mean, obviously we had what was it, Modern Warfare 2 as our game of the year, didn't we?
Mm,
A couple years ago. Um so that's out there, but yeah, I think in general single player is what I prefer. I don't play a lot of
right.
multiplayer anymore.
There was kind of a deep dive video that I watched from Inside Games on YouTube, from like Lawrence Sontag, who's been in the game industry for a while. That kind of harkens back to kind of how gaming tends to go in fads, where Nintendo, we kind of all got tired of all of Nintendo's kind of platforming, fun, shiny games. Then
Yep.
we got to The Last of Us and started liking God of War and all of these sad dad single player games. I
Sad
believe
dad.
is what they're calling it.
Mhm.
Astrobot comes out and everybody's like, "Oh, this is what we need. Why don't we get more of this?" So it's one of those things where we had a fad where multiplayer really was the thing,
Yep.
and now we're kind of going back to the point where not everything needs to be multiplayer super focused. Maybe a little multiplayer mode doesn't hurt all the time, but it's still like you don't need it.
Yeah, agreed. Um, also on that single player front, Black Myth Wukong was not nominated for Game of the Year by the Golden Joystick Awards. Craig, how do you and I feel about that? I'm assuming you're
Complete.
going to talk about that game later, but go ahead.
Yes. Oh, complete and utter disgust. Um,
Okay.
um, I think based off of not only execution, but clearly the popularity is not mistaken for a, I don't know if a pal world amount of time you could, every person that you were watching who was playing video game content was trying that game.
Yeah.
Like there was a couple of people that my wife and I watch that aren't even a gaming creator or a gaming content creator that were trying that game as like a difference from their normal scheduled programming. Like it swept the world for a bit. And while I don't know, I don't know that I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I'm quite surprised.
agreed. I don't know, and I'll save if you're going to talk about it in games played. I'll save it for that, but I think it at least deserves a nomination, just on
I think it
sheer
does too.
popularity alone. I can't think of too many games that I would say are like, yeah, this was a front runner for the year. I didn't check. I don't know if they nominated Stellar Blade, but if they nominated Stellar Blade and not Black Myth Wukong, would you still be upset?
To be honest, now that I'm like, and I could, I'll be talking about the game, but now that I am where I am in the game, I like Black Myth Wukong's gameplay as a whole better than Stellar Blade. So I think I would be surprised, and I love Stellar Blade. I think I'd be surprised if Stellar Blade got the nom over Black Myth, especially again going back to the popularity. That game shifted the Steam demographic of player, as I was talking about a couple of weeks ago. I don't know too many games to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, agreed.
Now,
that was
are
a
we
shot to Barry's heart, by the way.
Well, no, it are you guys sure it's not anything to do with like a weird cutoff date or something like that?
As
like,
far as I know, it wasn't.
Okay.
It didn't have to do with that. It was just not nominated. And again, this is the Golden Joystick Award, so it's not, like not that it's the end all be all, but the Jeff Keighley, awards or whatever.
Video game
But
awards
yeah,
thing,
which I'm sure it'll be nominated there. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
sure
if it's not nominated there, then we need to understand why. Because Alan Wake 2, which came out in late October of last year, was nominated for a bunch of stuff. So
agreed.
That wouldn't make sense cutoff wise.
Agreed. Yeah. And then I have two. I feel like I always come in with the rumors, so I got two rumors that were floating around this week. We all like rumors. God of War, the Greek saga, is supposedly being remastered right now. I will take all of those. I couldn't find a definitive answer as far as what the Greek saga would be. I would assume 1 through 3 and probably the PSP games.
Chains of Olympus, yeah.
Yeah.
And
you think they would do 4 games? I feel like 3 is usually like the normal. You usually get a trilogy. So maybe the first 3?
Yeah, I guess it would probably only really be the first 3. Like, while the PSP games did do a decent amount to flesh out some of the other parts of the God of War saga.
Yeah.
I guess you probably don't need Chains of Olympus.
It's a good game, though.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
All of those games are good. I would play them all again in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I mean, the classics.
Yeah. And then the other one I had was there's been rumors forever about a Assassin's Creed Black Flag remaster. Supposedly that has now been pushed farther because of Assassin's Creed Shadows being pushed farther. So they're saying probably end of 2025 for that. Do we care? I know I like Black Flag, but would you play it again?
Black Flag made me a pirate fan in video games.
Okay.
I know it often gets compared to anything involving the pirates nowadays, in terms of video games. So, yes is the answer.
Barry, would you play it?
No, I find the pirate thing very overplayed, and it's just not my type of thing. So yeah, that's why I would not.
Okay. Are you gonna play Shadows when it comes out?
I am.
Are you interested? Okay, that's fair. I'm still trying to decide if I care or not. I don't.
I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm not
I don't
sure.
normally care about Assassin's Creed games ever. I might give it a shot, but yeah, that's all I had.
All right, I just have a couple. Something that I found very interesting. Haley Joel Osment recently in an interview stated that the upcoming Legend of Zelda live action movie, that he would love to play Link in that. Now, he also admitted that at 37, he's probably too old to play Link, but some of the quotes that I saw that he was speaking on was kind of nice to see how nerdy of a Zelda fan he was. Like he's hoping that Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask is written in, like the lore is written into that movie because they are his quote original Star Wars trilogy in terms of Zelda games, which I have a lot of respect for.
That's two.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right, right. So, but yeah, uh, I don't know. I thought that was kind of like an interesting feel good story to have a very nerdy actor who was a famous child actor, did films as an adult. Now it's 37, but wants to play Link. Um, so I don't know. He's probably too old to play because Link's more of a young buck in the face area, you know?
True.
So I don't know.
He still could pull it off, though.
He could. Wonders of makeup and
Mm-hmm. Not that I would say
post production.
he's not the first person I think of. If I'm like, oh yeah, they'd be a perfect Link. I don't even know if he'd be in the top 100, but he would
Yeah.
definitely have the. I don't know. He would know the material, which
He
would
would.
help. Yeah.
He would. The second thing that I have is more kind of like a collection of things. I unfortunately was not here last week because I had some family things to do, but there was a lot of stuff that went on last week, and I just wanted to kind of comment on a couple of things. So I also agree with you guys when you spoke last week of how the Xbox showcase was lackluster. I wanted to kind of also, third that. As far as the PlayStation showcase, I agree that the $10 update is pretty nice for those of us that had it. I know when I watched it, I was I was trying to remember if I had it on like physical or if it was in my PlayStation purchases. I found out it was in my PlayStation purchases, but I was lucky there. But the hike of price is going to be annoying for the people who would not had an opportunity to play it yet. Um, to my boy Barry, Stellar Blade near DLC. I cannot wait. Oh, like you said last week, that is essentially a Barry. Like somebody was just like, I want to help a guy named Barry feel better while he's playing video games. And then that's how that was born. In addition, for those of you who enjoyed Stellar Blade, I obviously mentioned my thoughts versus Black Myth, but in my mind, the soundtrack came out recently, all 180 songs of it around. I have been playing that front to back, and I also second you, Barry, on it being probably better, if not definitely better than Rebirth's soundtrack. It's fire. So if you guys are looking for something, listeners or
I'm sorry,
watchers,
Craig. I'm
You're both
sorry. It
wrong.
is
You're both wrong.
it. Look. They are both so good. I
they
hate
are.
that we're gonna have to pick one at the end of the year. I hate that we have to, but
I would,
It's-
to be
it's
fair,
fire.
I think we could also throw in Wukong soundtrack as well.
It's got a very good soundtrack. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd have to listen to it all the way through. The
Right.
thing with Wukong doesn't have both Stellar Blade and Rebirth had a song that almost made me want to go back to an area to hear it again. I don't know
Sure.
if Wukong has that.
What
That's
about
like
that? What about the headless guy?
oh, that was so good.
Yeah.
That was really
He
good.
literally narrates that whole chapter for you
He does.
as you're playing. He
does.
just randomly shows up and starts singing.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're
I
getting
have
ahead of
things to think
ourselves.
about. I have things to think about. The other two things from PlayStation, I'm obviously also excited of Ghosts of. Did we figure out if it's Yote or Yotai? Yote?
I think it's
Yotai? I don't
Yotai.
know. Yotai.
Mhm.
Super excited as this podcast normally believes collectively. It doesn't matter like the protagonist. I know there's a little um, maybe issue that there's more an issue that it's not Jin, not that it's a lady. Sometimes that issue pops up and that always pisses us off because like they're gonna nail it anyway. Um, and then what was the last thing? Oh, the other thing I wanted to bring up is that Clay game. I can't wait to see that.
Mhm.
Um, the Dark Hour or something. What's it called? Whatever. Midnight Walk.
Yep.
Craig, you and I specifically grew up when they were really trying out a lot of different claymation type of shows, Celebrity Deathmatch, etc. Um, there's something about claymation. I think that appeals to a demographic that has seen a show or two like that. I don't know how many they have nowadays, to be honest with you, but like there's some classics
Yeah.
from our time growing up. So I'm interested to see that. That's going to be on my radar. I think I already wish listed and everything like that. So I guess my news is more of a recap from last week because there was a lot of stuff going on last week. So that's all I got.
There was one question I wanted to ask you since you weren't here last week. The $10 upgrade for Horizon, right? We all agree is a good thing.
Right.
So in turn, are you upset that you cannot do that with Until Dawn?
Yes,
Okay.
I would say so. It's kind of funny because out of the two, Until Dawn would be the one I would want that on first
Right.
before Horizon, because I think you guys said it last week that like, are we playing that again? No.
No.
Like it's nice that
Not at all.
but like
Yeah.
we said it I think a couple of times on this podcast. Like we're not going back to play Horizon Zero Dawn.
I don't think I'll ever play that game again, to be honest. I just
Um,
don't see myself doing it.
It took us
Right.
way too many tries.
Yeah, exactly.
right. But yeah, that's all I had.
Okay. We'll get into games played this week then. For me, I played the Metaphor Prologue demo, and we have Zelda Echoes of Wisdom.
Ah, you started it, huh?
Yes.
I finished the Metaphor demo, all 10 hours. At least that's how long it took me. I started playing a game called INDIKA, and for the third time, I am back into Ghost of Tsushima. I'm going to beat it this time. That's my goal.
I'm interested to see your take on Indica because if one of the most enticing, I almost said title card, but whatever, like it's like a picture of like one girl screaming amongst like a bunch of, are they nuns or something? Or
Yeah,
like,
they're
or
all
is it just,
nuns. Yep.
so I've always scrolled past it. I think I watched somebody play like an hour. Anyway, sorry, I'm rambling.
You're good.
For me, because I wasn't here last week, I have kind of a list. I have a story for you, Craig. Black
Okay.
Myth Wukong related. When we if we
Sure.
want to discuss that. Barry, I started Reynatus.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There we go. I didn't even start that.
I started Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom as well. I did beat the Metaphor demo, and my wife and I started Zoocosis.
Oh, forgot that game
Just like
existed.
literally last night or
Okay.
the night before.
All right,
Okay.
we got some games to talk
Yeah, we
about
do.
this week then. So we all played the Metaphor demo, so I guess we can
Yes.
start with that. I am only 2-3 hours in. Kind of interested to see how it all goes. Just because it is doing some really interesting things like storytelling wise, like playing Persona for as much as I have, you know that they're doing things for a reason. There is a reason why this narrator talks to you individually, the gamer, and then the storybook that your character reads is also like something to do with the real world, with humans, a make-believe city and things like that. So it's I know it's all on purpose. How it all melds together is what I'm definitely like interested in seeing and continuing. Like combat is still the combat, and I'm very much used to what Persona slash MST combat is. So it isn't that much different from what we've seen. Instead of the one more feature, it's pretty much a half a battle point instead of a full battle point kind of feature there. But overall, I was really surprised with how smooth the game looks. I guess it's even with how stylized like Persona and SMT are. This one kind of takes it to another level where I feel like the characters move smoothly. We all know what the main menus look like and stuff like that. So it just oozes
That pause menu is
character.
incredible.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
so it's just things like that. Like I did not need to be sold on Metaphor. Like I am kind of sad I missed out on the collector's edition. I can't wait to see what Craig's collector's edition looks like, and really get to celebrate this game because it looks like it is as much as they've said, it is a celebration really of both the marriage of SMT and Persona.
I think the book, as someone who like doesn't normally get into Persona games, the book is what interests me the most. Like, are we going to get like a present day at some point in this game, or is it all going to be this like It almost feels like medieval, right? Kind of.
It
Maybe
does.
not, but like, is it going to jump into that? That's what it like sucked me in, was the book.
Yeah. I'm Barry, like you. I did not need to get sold on this game. This was my most anticipated game of the year.
I
And
believe you
I
did red button it.
You
Yeah. Oh
did.
yeah. And I am already 4,000 times sold on it. There's a lot of the things you guys mentioned already. Menu system. I am enjoying the break from collecting demons or personas and just like managing that and spending, I don't know, 20 minutes combining so that I can have the better one.
Yeah,
And
no
then,
kidding. Yeah.
that's the first thing that I noticed that I really liked as a change. The story's fine for me. I got big not Ocarina, Majora Mask vibes with Homeboy in the sky talking to
Yeah.
us. I literally pulled my wife in and I was like, "What game does that remind you of?" I was like,
Yep.
"A giant type, something in the sky with a face looking down. What does that remind you know?" So
Yep.
I that's a nice touch that I liked. For me, I had no issues really with how it ran. The large dungeon felt large enough to me as a good tutorial one, but there was a good build up with smaller dungeons to get you there. Um, I do like that system of changing, where you have like a healer or you have like all these different classes from the get go, wizard, that type of thing that you can wear, and your social connections build that throughout the world. The couple of social things that I did or time related things I did made me think that this is also going to be nice. The break from school is nice. There's going to be different things that you're going to manage in terms of day to night.
Yeah, but how am I supposed to be able to manage my charm, my intelligence, and my
It's still there.
There's still
yeah,
they have,
but
oh
not without school. Like I
oh
need
without
school in
school.
order
Oh.
to do all these
Oh,
things.
so from what I've gathered from the demo, sitting on a park bench or
Yes.
a bench helps build, I don't know, some stat that it wouldn't help build in real life. It was just like people watching.
Yeah.
Um, and like I think helping people, there's a bunch of stories you have to listen to from like history of a specific demographic, which is the other thing. I'm interested to see how they tackle class or classism, maybe either or. Because there is a clear, they shoved that in your
Yep.
face
Yep.
during the demo. They said clearly everybody's talking about their social status in the conversations you start with them. They're like, "Oh, it's very nice that you're talking to someone like me," So that I'm interested to see how that goes, and then just the overarching trying to, like Craig was explaining last week, trying to become the king through social acceptance from like the masses and how that progresses. What knocks it down? Does a boss battle knock it down or knock it up? You know, I saw the two like main people that are like ahead of you there, and I was like, "Ooh, I wonder when I'm gonna fight this person. Is this like the mid game boss that 40 hours in? I don't know." So there's a lot to be intrigued about. Um, and I'm super excited to play it. I was impressed with the color palette. I was impressed with the menu. Atlas never really denies there, but Barry, like you said, it's a great marriage between SMT. It's got the weirdness from SMT, but like the charm and a lot of the colors that you get in Persona games,
Yeah.
which is a perfect combination because like SMT gets real weird and stays weird the whole time, like where like Persona's more kind of lighthearted until different times. But anyway, that's essentially what I got from it.
Is it normal in Persona games when you go into a dungeon that like the safe areas don't heal you?
Oh my god, they no they in Persona 5, I'm pretty sure they do not. They
Okay.
don't. No, they don't. They don't.
Yeah, because I'm so used to like when you find like a safe spot in an RPG, like it heals, like gives you back your HP, your MP, and in this it does not. And I was like, oh, that's kind of an interesting like wrinkle that I'm not used to.
Were you
You
running
know?
thin in that large dungeon
Yeah.
after a while? Because like
Yeah.
I know from Persona games, I'm trying to do it all in one day because you don't want to waste your time.
Right.
and I had to leave because I did not prepare for that one. Like I did not prepare item wise.
Yeah, you need a lot
That
of
one.
items. Yeah, before we started recording, I told Barry this too. Like, I don't have this game pre-ordered. Like the demo for me, I guess, is somebody who is like probably not going to buy it. But now I'm like, do I buy it? And if I do I actually finish this game? That's the big question mark, or do I play it for 30 hours and then be like, meh, I'm done? I
Yeah,
can't tell. Like it's drawing me in, but I don't know if it's going to keep me.
right. Last thing I'll mention, and Craig, you said this last week, is I do like the human thing too.
Yeah.
Um, I felt very Attack on Titan esque with these grotesque human
Yeah,
kind of things,
human. Yeah,
and that was and they didn't show any. We had no idea that was going to be a part of anything, So when you fight your first one, I was like, oh, is that? Hmm.
Yeah.
I can't wait till that gets fleshed out either. So
Agreed.
all right, so I played some Zelda. I will let you guys kind of go into the other games you guys played, and then Zelda's kind of the bigger release of this week.
Okay. Ghost of Tsushima, my third attempt to try and get through this game. First two times I bounced off so hard, so quick, and I don't know why. I feel like this time, like it's sticking more, but I'm also taking my time. If that makes sense, like I'm trying to find everything, and I'm just like kind of riding around on my horse and being like, oh, I'll go help that person, and maybe that's how you're supposed to play it. Whereas before, I was just trying to like brute force my way through the game. um,
mm,
I'm enjoying it though a lot more than I ever have, and I'm trying to stick to like I finished Black Myth Wukong, and I was like, all right, what's the next game to finish? And that was like, oh, it's the perfect time to go back to Ghosts, I guess. So I'm hoping to finish that. You guys both finished it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
How many hours?
Ooh, good
Do you
question.
remember?
So I know I didn't collect everything. I did
Okay.
do all of the side stories, and I completed the bases because it helps with fast travel.
Right.
Right.
So I ended up doing that. If I had to guess, maybe 20 to 30 hours. I did
Okay.
like the game. I don't believe is that long, but
Hmm.
when you do the side stories and do some of
Right.
the extra bases, the game becomes a lot longer. I know I did get all the stuff for the legendary
Okay.
armor,
I
so I did that as well.
I think my issue the first two times I played it was I was just like, there's too many things that you can do. And I think that's what turned me off. I was like, oh, we can go find the fox dens and you can go find the baths and then go find all these flags and like all this other stuff. And I was like, this is just
Yeah,
too much to put in there. But when you
Right.
take your time and you just kind of like, I've just been picking like a mission. And then as I go, if something pops up, I'm like, oh, I'll go do that real quick. It's a lot more relaxing that way because it is a nice game to look at. Like
Yeah.
it runs well on the PS5. It looks very nice. So I want to get through it so I can, be ready to go for the next one. So hopefully this is the one. And then obviously Death Stranding wasn't as we did not finish that one, but maybe I go
that
back to
is
that.
absolutely correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
That is
Uh,
absolutely correct.
I mean, mainly I was just trying to see how long it was because obviously we have, if I get into Metaphor, that's going to be a lot of my time. And then obviously we have Silent Hill this week as well. So like, I'm trying to be like, am I going to finish this or is it going to get buried, underneath a million other games? So hopefully I can finish it. Indica, I don't even know how. I haven't beaten it yet, but I know it's not a very long game. I think it's like 4 to 5 hours. It's just a very weird game, and I don't know how to recommend or not recommend it. It does a good job of like Indica is the name of the main character. She is a nun in a convent who is not liked by the other nuns. So the whole premise of the game is they give her a letter to go deliver to another convent just to get her out of there because they're annoyed by her. I kind of get the vibe that she has voices, so it's a lot like Hellblade. There is specifically
Okay.
one voice that talks to her all the time. Um, but there is something else going on with her that translates into the game and changing the game in weird ways. Like in the top left corner there is a like an XP counter that's always there, because every time
Okay.
she does something, she's gaining levels, but she's like doing it in her head as like a way to get through the day, kind of. So she's very
Interesting.
weird. She's off. Like something's off about her, but they don't specifically say what it is. And like it'll often like at one point there's like these they're bikes, but they're like gas powered bikes. And she has a flashback to like, oh yeah, my dad used to build these bikes, and the flashback's like 2D.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird. The game is very weird. It looks very good. It's a Unreal Engine game, so it looks like Hellblade. It's just the story is all over the place. So I'm gonna finish it because I know it's not that long, but I just don't know if I can recommend it, because I feel like you're either gonna be fully on board immediately, or you're gonna be like, "What the hell am I playing?" and just stop. But it's entertaining. I'll give it that,
Cool.
for a game I had no idea about and just decided to give a shot to.
Interesting.
Hmm?
That's all you had, right, Craig?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll go through. I guess the least I have to say about a game to the most. Reynatus. I did the demo, and then I got the game when it came out. I think last Friday or last Thursday, whatever. Not this past one, but the one before it. And it's okay. It's an
It's okay,
okay
man.
game.
It's all right. It's okay, guys. It's okay.
It's okay. So essentially, this I'll tell you the entire reason I was sold on it without knowing, or it's a show, Barry, or it's an anime, or is it like
No,
do you know what it is, or is it just like a flat out
it's a
just get?
game, dude.
Oh, I didn't know if it was like based off of like. Oh, okay.
No.
Fair.
It's okay, but like what attracted me to the game was essentially what looked like running in downtown Japan, just as a
Mhm.
wizard. You were playing two characters. One is a character on a police force that catches people who are bad wizards, and then the other character is an actual wizard who has an unknown reason for being in the city. So you swap between them. The gameplay looks like it's trying to be Devil May Cry, but the game sections off battle. So as soon as you start fighting somebody, you get kind of almost like that ring of I can't leave yet until they're beat. But I don't know, the city isn't polished enough. They tried to add places that you can buy food to recover health and all that other stuff, but they're very sporadic and not detailed. And we've seen a lot of games really treat the cuisine in Japan very seriously when you go in and buy stuff, up until they then putting probably the most realistic looking pictures of the food that you're purchasing that looks almost better than the main character you're playing as. This game doesn't do that as much. So, but I only put like an hour and a half in. It didn't necessarily keep my attention, especially with everything surrounding it. This is a game that I think they should have pushed till like specifically January, or like just not released it
Yeah.
now. Just don't release it now. There's heavy hitters on Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox coming out. So I really feel bad if if this really gets buried, but it's an interesting premise. It just didn't really catch my eye.
Gotcha.
Zoocosis.
Yeah.
Um, at the moment, not as scary as I thought. Uh, I do like the zoo simulator portion. They spend a good first hour. So for anybody who doesn't know the game, you're essentially shadily given a job as a overnight zoo host keeper person, whatever
Okay,
they're
so
called.
we got the zoo part and zoocosis down.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And you have to take care of the animals, you have to feed them, you have to clean up their poo, you have to also kind of check their temperature. You have this cart you push around that has like all of your gadgets to be able to do that. But something is happening to the animals where they're getting infected by something, and that starts to happen as the night proceeds. So they don't take too long throwing you in it. I'll tell you, anybody at home looking to start this game, if you want to see something infected, it's going to take like 40 minutes or so. They really take you through, this is what you're doing. And there's a lot of zoo things that you have to do. Um, the game is a little less forgiving in if you miss something. Like there was one time that my wife and I thought all our tasks were done, and there was like one itty bitty thing of poo in like the corner, covered by shrubbery, and they're like, "How are we supposed to see that?"
Strawberry.
So we did get to a infected section of the game, as you will, and that particular portion wasn't that scary. This infected being did not engage us that much. It kind of just flew around and screamed a lot. There were times that it did. I thought I was going to be a little bit more scared based off of what I was seeing in the trailer. Now that doesn't mean it won't happen down the road, but the zoo tasks are interesting. You have to collect things to create darts to either tranquilize them or like tranquilize them if they're like attacking, or there's other things you have to cure. So you have like a little dart gun that has like that one and done, one and reload thing, which helps when you're trying to fight something infected in terms of the nervousness and the anxiety of trying to fight it because you have to make that shot. But I think it's a good one. I forget how much it costs, but I'd buy it at cost again. We're not too far in it to throw it away, but it's good.
Looks like
Uh,
it's 22
oh, buy it,
49 right now. 25
buy it.
bucks normally. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's worth that price. It's definitely worth that price. And then so that's Zoocosis, Reynatus. Very quick story about Black Myth Wukong. And then and then Barry, we could talk about Legend of Zelda along with Craig because I know he started it. The only story I really wanted to tell you, Craig, is Craig and I talked this week about like there's a secret boss that you can fight in this game. This boss is the hardest boss in the game, arguably. You have to do things there's 6 chapters, chapters 1 through 5, in order to even fight this boss. Like you have to find all the secret areas, you have to finish all of those. There's a big ramping up moment to fighting this boss. The reason why I have not beaten Black Myth Wukong, even as of right now, is because I wanted to beat this boss before I beat the game. I put like 20 tries in, which is pretty bad for Black Myth with Black Myth Wukong, which is a very forgiving game if you play Souls enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to Craig earlier this week, and I said, "Did you fight this guy?" Craig's like, "I'm gonna fight him later." Yep. Yeah, and I know Craig beat it. So yesterday, after our conversation, Craig, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna fight because I'm literally in the last section. Everything's done in the last section. I just have to walk to the final boss of the story. Well, Craig, I walked, and as you know, you get like one of the most powerful weapons in the game right before that final boss. I stopped and I said, my attack just rose 25.
Yep.
Maybe I'll try him one more time. So I went back, I fought him. That's boss of the year, man. I beat him. He's tough, but the cinematics that you see in the middle and in the various stages of that fight are high caliber. He's boss of the year, and he's very, very tough. But because of that, I did not actually have enough time to fight it. So I haven't beaten Black Myth Wukong. What I will say, it is going to be top 5. I don't see it moving from top 5 for me. In my game list, at least. It is an amazing adaptation. It makes me want to go read that literature that it's based off of. And we haven't seen bosses done in this way or executed. And each level is unique in its own way. They do specific things that they don't do in the rest of the levels, which makes every portion of the game feel unique. Craig, like you said, chapter 2 is entirely narrated by a headless guy singing an awesome song. They don't do that again.
Yep.
So I think everybody should play this game. I think it is able to be absorbed by somebody who doesn't normally play that type of game. Not saying it's easy, but it's able to be absorbed. I think it's tough enough for people who play Souls games. And I think it's memorable and unique enough to find its way into everybody's library. That's my take on Black Myth Wukong. It's awesome.
I didn't say anything last week when I beat it because I was waiting for you to come back, but I think the game itself for me took a hit from the last chapter. I thought the last chapter was bad.
Yeah.
I don't understand the need to go open world like that at the end. It
Right.
with no mini map, no map at all, and really no direction other than go where the lightning is.
Yeah.
I
Only
it
way we
just seemed like a bad way to end it. Now the bosses are good. I just don't like I didn't like the way you had to go about it. So it bumped
and
it down
that's
for me a
fair.
little bit. Yeah.
That's a fair point. I don't know if they needed to do all of that. They could have
Yep.
literally just made some pathways and just had you do the linear thing like normal and had
Yeah.
those bosses be down different pathways. And I know I had to get a map. I think we talked about the
Yeah.
map thing
Yeah, I
at the
got
end.
one
Like,
off like Reddit and had it on my
yeah,
phone while I was playing.
yeah. There's like no way to find even the optional ones, the
No.
optional ones specifically, without doing that. But
Yep.
I
Still a
can't
good
wait for
game though.
yeah, I can't wait for the DLC either. I think I'm gonna be super excited for that, and also it would have cooled down enough since playing it that it's gonna be exciting when the DLC comes out for that whenever they release it. So
Fair.
All right, and then the big release for Nintendo, kind of this year, is Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, the game where you actually get to play as Zelda. I do like how the beginning of the game kind of, we know who you're playing as, like you've seen in all the demos, but you still get to play as Link for a little bit in the beginning of the game. Uh, then you start to head over to the Zelda portion of things. And it is so much different than anything, like, even as someone who's played the top down Zeldas. Like, it's different in the way that you need to copy things, you need to use certain points to spend on copying them. Copying them is important. Everyone, the most overpowered, item in the game is the bed at this point. It allows you to rest at any time,
it's OP.
kind of deal. Yeah. So everyone, who would have thought that a bed was so useful? But it still suffers from the same things that Link's Awakening does, which is frame rate issues. And
Hmm.
like, I am so tired of this. Like, when
Yep.
it comes to, I almost don't want to go any further until we get like until we get a new Switch, and we get a Switch that is optimized, and an update for the game that allows it to run smoothly. I know I'm being spoiled here, and I shouldn't let it downplay like my time with the game. The sense of creativity is enough for me to keep me wanting to play, and also like the chance to play as Zelda for once in the gaming sphere. It's not, you know, it's actually the Legend of Zelda, not like Legend of Zelda and you play as Link for 20 plus hours kind of deal
Yeah.
there. So I want to keep playing it, I want to continue it, but I just don't know if I like this where we're going in Zelda as of the moment. Don't get me wrong, like Tears of the Kingdom is the best version of this open world crafts a lot Zelda portion of things, but the one of the biggest points of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and with Echoes of Wisdom is it's just this long scrolling list of things you have in your inventory and menu. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of just scrolling through my inventory for 17 minutes trying to find, the one thing. And you could sort it, of course, by the amount of points it costs, the one you use the most, but some of these things are neither. Some of them are in the middle, and you never use them other than this one specific moment you're trying to use them. So it it ends up like kind of blocking its own path because they want this they want Zelda now to be this creative world where everybody experiences and solves puzzles the way they want
Hmm.
to, which is great. I think it's good that we get that, but like as someone who also yearns for the older style of Zelda, that like this isn't Oracle of Ages or Oracle or Season of Ages or Oracle of whatever. Those like old top down ones that I think that they used to go by. So like that's yeah.
I had to throw the hands up. The side note, Philly's just won, so I had to throw the hands
Oh,
up.
Yeah.
nice.
So my favorite thing that I've seen from Zelda this past week was somebody put like if you make a PowerPoint with like the PowerPoint and then the slides on the side, they put that up and they're like, this is me playing Zelda because of the frame rate issue. It was like each
Yeah.
slide. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like I just stopped playing it. I was having too many frame rate issues and I was just like, I don't like Zelda games enough to make myself want to force through it. So if
Right.
they can fix it, or if it comes out again whenever inevitably the new Switch comes out and it runs fine, I might jump back into it because the idea is cool.
Yeah. No, agreed. I also, Barry, am annoyed with that, especially because, I mean, thank gosh the action pauses while you're scrolling through, but
Yeah.
it's just annoying. You find so many different echoes in the first hour. You find it like 25, like to 30, and eventually it gets monotonous. There's things that I forgot I had because I'm always scrolling like halfway through the list to my most used without sorting to most used. And I never go to the end. And I'm like, I remember I was playing it earlier and I'm like, oh my God, I have a wolf. I could have used this like 16 more times, but it's like, I don't want to scroll to the end. What I do like that it's doing right is this is the first adaptation, like a Link's Awakening type of adaptation that has taken other beneficial things or cues or sounds or visuals from Tears of the Kingdom, like the map, where you're and where how you like where you're located. I forget what they're called, but the things you find are reminiscent to the Tears of the Kingdom like blocks or whatever. I don't know. They're meshing things and taking things from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and putting them in there. But you're right, Barry. One of the things they need to fix is this in the menus, man. Like,
Yeah.
just fix it. I don't know if the next installment of the main open world Zelda game does not have you have breakable weapons, or if they do things to create you only needing to look at your inventory for small things. Because classic Zelda, would you have a bow? You had bombs. I'm already forgetting the rest of the stuff. Like, there's clearly not as large of an inventory in older Zelda, like throwback
Boomerang,
Zelda games. Boomerang, thank you,
a
and your
wrath.
shield.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
your shield. Yeah.
yeah. We're what at
A
five
candle.
things,
A
right?
candle. I'm trying to remember the other ones. There's like
Right.
a wooden ladder. I think that's it. I
Yeah,
think I got them all.
yeah. So I don't know why they can't go back to their roots there, but I mean that's a discussion for the developers, and maybe
Yeah.
they'll listen to our podcast. I don't know, but yeah, it's hard to play with the technical issues. Most definitely looks great, but it doesn't look. It's not synchronized as like it
No.
could be.
It's running on ancient hardware at this point. Just give us the new hardware, Nintendo.
Yeah.
God.
So then we move into the movies and TV show area of this
Yeah.
podcast. While some of my animes did end, oh, sorry, I don't know when that picture fell. I don't know when that picture just started hanging. Uh, Regardless, I've been now trying to get into like the new season of anime, so I haven't gotten to watch any movies or anything of like note. Like I did watch the first two episodes of The Penguin.
Okay.
That's good. It's a good show. But other than that, it's a lot of anime. Nobody will probably wants to hear me talk about.
It's fair. I don't like. I don't really have anything too much to say about it. But I got sucked into Will Trent, and I watched the first two seasons of Will Trent. That's a sweet show. That's kind of like a procedural crime drama. But I did watch VHS Beyond, Speak No Evil, and the 4:30 movie this week.
Oh my gosh! Sorry, I need to hear about the VHS one because I heard that oh my god, there's some people that we're gonna like that are in that or doing
Alana Pierce.
Justin Long did one of
Justin
them.
Long.
Yep.
And Mike Flanagan
Yep.
and Katie Siegel, who I did not know they were married, but they also did a segment, which is crazy. I only have one because I did a lot of gaming.
Sure.
But it's Deadpool and Wolverine.
Hey. We're fine. Are
6
we
years
all? We
6 years
finally
later.
caught up. Yeah.
Yeah, we've
6
all
years
finally
later.
watched it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched the first Deadpool, guys. No, it's fine.
But you guys go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Let's see. The 4:30 movie. It's a Kevin Smith movie.
Okay.
Kind of a love letter to going to see movies in the 90s, kind of. Little bit of trivia. Kevin Smith, I think either last year or the year before, bought a cinema in New Jersey, the one that he used to go to all the time as a kid. He actually bought it and is now where he records like podcasts, and he'll show like his old movies, and he'll do Q&As afterwards. But that's where they filmed this movie, which I thought was kind of cool. It's basically centers around, it's one day. It's a kid in high school asking his a girl he likes to go to the movies with him at 4:30. That's why it's called the 4:30 movie. But in all honesty, it is just kind of like if you went to the movies growing up in the 90s, there's a lot of like references in there, and it's just kind of a lost era that doesn't really exist as much anymore. The whole like paying for one movie and sneaking into movies all day type thing, like that kind of stuff. I love Kevin Smith, so I enjoyed this movie a lot. It's more of it's a comedy. I don't know if I'd call it a romantic comedy, I guess. But I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Let's see. Speak No Evil. I can do that one. James McAvoy. This thing got trailered to death. Every time I went to a movie, I saw a trailer for this movie. My God. And everybody, like, even online, people were like, if I could not see that anymore, that'd be great. And everybody was ragging on this movie. And then it actually came out, and everybody's like, oh, it's actually pretty good. So I did watch it. I do enjoy it. It's a nice little twist on I have not seen the original, which I think is a couple years old at this point. So I don't have that one to base it off of, but basically revolves around a family that meets James McAvoy's family on vacation. James McAvoy's family invites them to spend a weekend at their house. There's things going on that you can kind of see from the trailer. James McAvoy is not who he says he is. There's a lot of tense stuff that happens at the end. Again, I don't want to spoil things because that's the whole point of watching this movie, is figuring out what the hell is going on with this family. Why are they so weird? I thought the payoff was cool. And even like 75% of the movie is like buildup. It was a nice tense buildup that I didn't get bored of. And I was just like, oh man, like he's just weird. Like something is totally off. So I would definitely recommend Speak No Evil. VHS Beyond. I know I've talked about VHS movies before. I enjoy the idea of like, hey, let's just let a bunch of different people make like 15 to 20-minute short movies. This one's based around aliens, which is interesting for a VHS movie. Some are better than others, I'll be honest. Justin Long's one is weird. It was okay. I know people are calling that one out because it has to do with like a lady who runs a dog daycare, and she's taking people and slowly turning them into dogs by like sewing canine where their like mouths where their mouths are, and sewing fur and paws under their. It's wild.
Oh, so it's like Tusk, but it's
exactly like Tusk. Yeah. There's, like I said, there's some hits or misses. I think the majority of them hit. They're very, very campy because it's alien in nature. So like they're very, very weird. It's a VHS movie, so it's very, very bloody, like they always are. I thought it was entertaining. I wouldn't say it's like, oh my God, this is a masterpiece. But for a one-time watch, I think it's worth it. I don't think I'll watch it again. I'd rather watch like the original or like the first two. I think are done very well. But there's some interesting ideas in here. I think the standout for me, one of them was a group of people going skydiving, and as they're in the plane, a UFO comes out and knocks the plane out of the sky, and then it kind of turns into a quiet place where the aliens are on the ground, like hunting them and tearing them apart and stuff. That was kind of cool. But you could do worse, honestly. If you have a Shudder subscription, it's on Shudder. You can watch that, or you can pay $5 for the month of October, which is what I do every year, and just get all the Halloween movies out of the way that's on Shudder. So yeah, not a bad way to spend an hour and a half.
I'm assuming it's not even close to how bad Viral was.
No,
like
it's better than Viral. Yeah, it's definitely
that's like the
better
long-standing. That's
Ugh.
the benchmark for like worst VHS movie.
94 and the original are like my favorite. I think it was 94, right? Wasn't it VHS
Yeah,
90
that's
something?
yeah.
94?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because 85 wasn't. It was 94, the one
Yep.
they did after. Yeah,
Yeah. There's some good ones, there's some bad ones, but I just like that style of like 15 to 20 minute,
same.
like get in, get out horror movies. That's cool. It's a cool idea.
Right.
Do more of that.
Well,
Deadpool?
Deadpool and Wolverine's great. I
Is
guess
it everything you wanted it to be?
it was. I think this movie was a little bit more self-aware. I'm gonna have to
That
watch it.
is
Like,
that is
I'm,
Deadpool's MO.
Yeah.
yeah,
Self-aware.
it's his mo. But this one, I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of references, a lot of jabs at either Reynolds himself, the budget, or something about the actual actor or actress playing it, like that fourth wall breaking. I loved it. The dynamic between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman is great. When this was being advertised, I don't know if you guys had an issue going on YouTube and not seeing them, but they essentially did every single show together. They did the Kimmels and all that, but then they did Hot Ones.
Yeah.
They did like every single thing. So like my wife and I went on probably a 2-hour tick of just watching them converse in interviews, and they're like extremely close.
Yep.
And you know, and you could tell in the movie uh that they have like a good chemistry together as actors. So but I didn't mind the story. I think the original Deadpool for me is going to be the one, but this one I was trying to decide. Like, I don't know if you guys want to do it. It might be a hard thing to do, but I was trying to rank the Deadpools, and it's hard because I think I have Deadpool at 3. I have this one at 2 and the original at 1. But if you ask me 10 minutes later, that order will probably be different. But I like seeing Wolverine in his natural habitat in terms of his uniform from like X-Men, and not just X-Men 97, but what inspired X-Men 97. I love the cameos. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a huge fan of Gambit.
Me too.
Uh, and he hasn't been done correctly in film. So, I mean, come on, like, not
Channing
to
Tatum
mention,
was born to play Gambit.
and not to mention. So we watched a little bit of stuff after because we know we missed some jokes and some nods and some Easter eggs. And Channing Tatum for a long time was trying to get the Gambit movie done correctly, or a Gambit movie done correctly. So even just knowing that and seeing how he played it, he was born to play it. I didn't know that prior to the film, so that was quite a pleasant surprise. And then, oh my gosh, what's Xavier's sister's name? The main villain.
Oh my god. I forgot her name already. I haven't
It
watched
has
it
been
since the theater.
yeah, it has been a little bit. I will
Oh
look
my
it
god,
up here.
Cassandra Nova.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Cassandra Nova, I thought was played very well. I like Emma Corrin, and I
Mhm.
liked her performance there. It was very good. It was very, 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 very good, and super funny. I don't know. Where do you guys think that's like middle of the pack, or do you think that's the best Deadpool? I know it's been a while since you
That's
guys
number
talked about.
one for me because of my love for Gambit and the fact that they managed to get Wesley Snipes to dress up as Blade again.
Oh yes, of
Like
course.
there's just the cameos alone. I don't know. To me, that was the most fun I've had at a Deadpool
Right.
movie. They're all good. I think probably that one, the first one, and then the second one for me.
Okay, I respect that.
I'd have to rewatch.
Yeah.
I really couldn't even tell you what goes on in the first one anymore. It's been that long.
Fair.
But I did like 2 because I liked Cable.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's one of those things where like I did think like 3 was the most fun, and I think Marvel did that on purpose, considering kind of the track that they've been going on lately.
Yeah.
You know, playing with your emotions. But I have to say, like, the villains always they do not live up to what they used to be.
Sure.
I don't think really Cassandra Nova's that great of a villain, and I know like that's kind of Marvel's biggest thing right now is, and the whole reason they're bringing RDJ back is the hopes that he can bring the the vilified
Yep.
portion of things back. So we'll have to see. But like, if there's any knock on the movie, I thought the villain was a little weak.
Yeah, I did also like Chris Evans being added, and Craig, you're right. Seeing Wesley Snipes as Blade brings me back to when the Blade movies were out, which essentially you can argue were the movies that showed um big that showed filmmakers that Marvel or just any type of comic book can work, at least in that time frame. Like,
Right.
I think Blade was so successful for what it was, and they had a way of, because like when I saw Blade, I didn't know Blade was a comic book character at that time, so they had a way of advertising it and shooting it that didn't make it feel comic booky, so like I guess could bring in that wider audience. But having him back in there was fantastic, and Chris Evans was funny in his portions too. So it was awesome. It was an awesome movie. Like, I'm happy I saw it, and as I know a lot of people are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it'll probably end up in my top 10 somewhere for the year, I would imagine.
Nice Pool was hilarious.
Nice
also,
Pool was good. Yep, the
Nice
dog
Pool
was
hilarious.
great.
The dog was great.
The Proposal.
Yeah.
He just looks at it. The Proposal.
I enjoyed that a decent amount.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there anything else you guys want to talk about or go over, or anything like that? Okay. Perfect. Well, we're going to go ahead and end the podcast there. I want to thank everyone for listening. If you feel so inclined on your podcast listening platform of choice, please share the video, send the video to a friend you think would like us, leave us a thumbs up, thumbs down, star rating, letting us know what you like best, what we need to work on. On YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment on are you waiting for Zelda to have an update for like the next Switch so we could stop with these frame rate issues? Because that's what I'm working on. And how long do you think it would take Craig to finish Metaphor? Let's start there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I think we should take bets on whether or not I will finish it. I feel like that's a better bet.
General.
And then we could do an over under on how many hours.
There we go.
As a side bet, a parlay, if you will.
Well, thank you everyone for watching and all the support you give us every week. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.
See ya.